The favorite phrase of the Ironborn is, "We do not sow." S-O-W, like sowing seeds, not sewing with a needle. It basically means we kill and enslave people for stuff. We don't make stuff. Because of course they don't. This is the bedrock of Ironborn culture. The Iron Islands were settled by the First Men back in the day, like Westeros. But this group of First Men were different from the Westerosi ones in that they did not choose to worship the old gods, instead creating their own belief system around the drowned god, who was basically Cthulhu. The Greyjoys are the rulers of the Ironborn we all know, but they are far from the first, and are unlikely to be the last family to rule the Iron Islands. One of the most famous ruling houses is House who are... Let's just call them House Huar, known among the Ironborn as the Black Line, as their most famous patriarch was a man known as Harren the Black. With House Huar at the helm, the Ironborn became an extremely powerful force in Westeros, eventually reaching their peak about 4 centuries before Game of Thrones. At this time, they even ruled a portion of the actual main continent of Westeros, the Riverlands. But after the War of Conquest, the Targaryens kicked them back to the Iron Islands and effectively ended the Black Line for good. From there, the Iron Islands just became one of the 7 kingdoms under the Targaryens. That is, until Robert's Rebellion destroyed the Targaryen rule. Soon after, there was a Greyjoy Rebellion in which they did their damnedest to restore what they call the Old Way. The Old Way is basically the philosophy I brought up in the very beginning of this video. The Ironborn are a culture of raiders, which means constantly killing, raping, and enslaving in order to get what they want. The idea is that they are above menial labor, and only losers do peasant stuff like farming and crap like that. Of course, they don't call them losers. Their word for the people they enslave is thralls. Sometimes they take women to be their wives against their will as well, calling them salt wives. They call their real wives rock wives. When I'm gonna get married, I'm gonna call my wife a concrete wife, or maybe a lamp wife. I'm sure she's gonna love it. They also won't wear anything fancy unless they paid for it with the iron price. Meaning, if you wanna wear those Air Jordans, someone's gonna have to die. Just try not to get blood on them. Speaking of blood, it is a big faux pas for an Ironborn to spill the blood of another Ironborn. A rule probably put in place because if they didn't, all the Ironborn would have already killed each other a long time ago. They're not exactly known for their self-control. The kings of the Iron Islands are chosen surprisingly democratically at what they call a king's moot. Whenever a king dies, the important Ironborn show up at a big party and anyone who wants to try out being king can do it. However, if you go out and do something cool, people are more likely to vote for you. Whoever people think is the coolest wins, basically. Politics. Nowadays, the Ironborn are in open rebellion again, and even though the War of the Five Kings is over, the Ironborn are as bloodthirsty as ever, continually raiding Westeros and stirring up trouble as much as they can. Because they're crazy like that, the Cthulhu-worshipping Viking scamps.